story of the Vinci Perpetual Calendar. With the interview that you gave my colleague Tracy,
yes,
you mentioned the Da Vinci Perpetual Calendar to be the story of your life.
Indeed, it is my story. The Perpetual Calendar, until even today, when some talk about me, it's not me, it's the Da Vinci Perpetual Calendar. First part of this story, I told you, I was working with pocket watches to realize some ideas to make the first complicated watches in IWC. They was not really complicated, but even a little bit more than only shows the time. And so this idea to develop a perpetual calendar gave some problems because there was perpetual calendars on the market. So to make was not only a technical problem, but it was, Mr. Puntley told me, all others have perpetual calendars. Now you come behind. And I didn't want to follow them, but I wanted to overtake all them, to make something new, never was on the world. A perpetual calendar, complete different from all others. Of course, in the beginning, before I started, I was looking around. How is working this perpetual? I was studying drawings from old perpetual calendars in old pocket watches 100 years ago and all this. And one thing disturbed me a lot. It was very complicated to set on the correct date and moon phase these calendars. Every indication had to be adjusted separately. The idea was still the same idea of, today we say, systems engineering, to use an existing basic movement and only construct the calendar. And then, this was just the time when Mr. Günter Blümlein arrived in IWC and got the new CEO. And he was only in IWC. He believed this idea could be good. But he told, before I said Peloton, said it could be a little bit better. He said it should be something special. All actual perpetual calendars are on usual movements, automatic movements or hand-wound, but never in a chronograph movement. And in this time, we was producing the Porsche design chronograph. It was not our own movement, it was Valjoux movement. And he said, use this chronograph movement, set the calendar on, and then we have the most complication. First, the setting of the calendar. I used this chronograph movement. There was a date indicator on. There was already a fast correction, fast setting of the calendar. Pull the crown, middle position, turn, and the date, click, click, click. I said, I have the system. I use this for the perpetual calendar. That was not all. Huh? There was another idea, a second idea. All perpetual calendars, each one was some masterpiece. Really high-end, we call it haute horlogerie. I wouldn't do the same. I was working all the years in IWC. All was mechanical production. And So I learned, I have the mind of Albert Peloton, even in this time. I would like to make a perpetual calendar produced in a serial industrial production. No more piece by piece, a real production to make more products. We was able then, after we launched it in April 85, and in November we celebrated the 500th perpetual calendar. There was really a nice dinner to get together, yes.
Another name that came up while we were talking is the name of Günter Blümlein.
Yes.
Can you tell me what sort of impact he had on your life?
To say it in one word, during all time I was working for him, he got my best friend. Many times I was sitting in his office to discuss not only the perpetual calendar, also later when we made the grand complication and so on. In general, he wanted to tell me. He said, for him, it's so good to talk to me. I can listen, really listen. And he need to talk about some problem. And I was listening. Many times until the late evening, I was in this office until Mrs. Blümlein called him, "Hey, can you go home?" And so this is the moment, oh, now I also can go home. Yeah. So this was a wonderful time with Günter Blümlein. And before I told you, he was only in IWC. He believed my project, my idea could be a good thing. And he had right. Yeah. It was not always easy to work with him. For I think I was a little bit an exception. I was always friend, but sometimes I heard it very loud with other people. And so many people in IWC, they was afraid to work with him, and because he was even stronger than Albert Peloton.